the opportunity and the privilege to gather families together, do that. And I assure you personally that you're really going to enjoy it. All right, so let's move over to the conversations this afternoon. First on our list, PDP NEC passes vote of confidence in IU. This, of course, happened this week. And next on the list, INEC says era of election rigging.
Every day, our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics.
Nobody's ambition is what's the blood.
I have fought a very
from the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on-spot news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN. From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on-spot news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, only on ATN.
The party should resign. And of course, one of the strongest reasons is because he wants to drop a balance in the party. But again, the National Executive Council of the People's Democratic Party has passed a vote of confidence in the national chairman of the party, Senator Iyorchia Ayu, suggesting that the party chairman will not be stepping down anytime soon. Now, there have been calls by some members of the party that Ayu should step down as the chairman of the PDP. Meanwhile, at the PDP National Executive Council meeting today, Thursday in Abuja, the party further reports its confidence in Ayu. Our correspondent also reports that a total of 397 members of the NEC, including past national chairman of the party, the immediate vice president of the country, Namadi Sambo, also the PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar, among others, were accredited for the meeting. Now, all of the 397 members of the National Executive Council that were present at the meeting voted in support of Ayu to continue as the chairman of the party. Also, the acting board of trustees chairman and former Senate President Adolphus Wabara had put it to a voice vote after the House Minority Leader moved a motion for members of the committee to continue to have him as the chairman of the party. Now, whilst we have a conversations as regards Ayu, continuing his tenure, his reign as the national chairman of the People's Democratic Party, lots of persons have been complaining. Some persons basically have also come out to say that Ayu should resign for the purpose of integrity. Now, these are calls that are coming out basically from Nigerians generally. And they're saying basically some of these individuals are maybe party faithfuls, maybe people who has the interest of the PDP at heart. But again, the National Executive Council has voted that Ayu should remain as the national chairman. Now, what that tells us as an individual basically is that the party has a trust and a belief in the national chairman of the party. Now, there are calls basically that the national chairman is supposed to come from the south. Having known that, that there was also a trend that Tambuwa actually resigned sometime last week as the chairman of the Governors Forum, and then Governor Makinde took over. But that also was also debunked by Tambuwa himself, saying that he never resigned from being the Governors Forum chairman. And so questions again is, if he never resigned, how come the news also broke out that Makinde became your successor, as it were? Now, these are things basically that are happening in the country and things that have happened so far in the past week. But again, our fingers are crossed to see what is going to happen between the PDP, the flag bearers, Mr. Iyorchia Ayu, and the governor of Rivers State. Will they reconcile? Will the reconciliation begin this week? Will Governor Wike set aside, his prejudices? Is he going to set aside, the challenges, basically? Is he going to lay aside whatever that is the challenge and come to compromise with Atiku Abubakar and the former Senator Ayu? Or again, is Atiku Abubakar going to lay aside whatever the challenge as well is, and also come to a compromise with Governor Nyesom Wike? Now, these are things that we're expecting to see in this new week. Again, like I said, our fingers are crossed to find out exactly what will happen for the PDP, knowing that, of course, 2023 is just by the corner. And that is that about the PDP. We're going to move over to the next conversation this afternoon, talking about the elections as well. Now, INEC has come out to say that the era of election rigging is over. That's the good news, right? Now, lots of persons will look at that as a good news. Of course, that is to say that it is a known fact that in the past elections, rigging has been, very, very predominant. And Mahmoud Yakubu made the pledge on Friday while delivering a keynote address at the launch of Yaga Africa Election Result Analysis Dashboard, a report on electronic transmission of results in the 2022 Ekiti and Osun governorship election in Abuja. Now, Mahmoud said that INEC has worked tirelessly to enhance transparency and increase the confidence of Nigerians in the election result and management process. And according to him, he said that he can confidently say that the days of wanton manipulation of election results are clearly over. Now, Nigerians would want to ask, are the days of election rigging really over, as stated by the Prof himself, the chairman of INEC? Are we really going to be expecting a free, fair, and several steps ahead of those who seek to undermine the system? And there are many bad guys in the field trying to undermine the system. And this is what the piece of unfair, rather, is going to be devoured of rigging. But personally, I'm looking forward to 2023 to see that maybe for the first time in a long time, that we are going to have a free and fair election in the country, Nigeria. And I'm sure that millions of Nigerians out there are also looking out for times and moments like this, where we are going to have a credible election in the country, Nigeria, to ensure that we could say that in the history of Nigeria, we had a credible election. Now, there are instances cited in the just concluded elections in Ekiti State, in Osun State, and in Anambra State. Now, lots of persons have come to see that the BVAS process, that the electronic voting system that was adopted by INEC, may be worked at as it should. Of course, some are also saying that, well, these are just states, and it happened in different intervals. And the 2023 general election is going to happen at once. The date that is going to be fixed for the election is going to be a national date. And so, whilst voting will be happening in Port Harcourt City, it's also going to be happening in maybe Ile-Ife in Osun State, in Akure, in Lagos, in the FCT. All of these will be happening at the same time. Now, questions that Nigerians are also asking is INEC truly ready for the pressure that would come with all of this in 2023? Can they handle the pressure? And so are we going to pat INEC on the back that they've given us an assurance this time that we are going to have an election that is free of rigging? For me as an individual, I think I like the fact that they've come to terms, first of all, that there was a problem in the electioneering process in the country, Nigeria. Because for the fact that they could say that 2023 election is going to be devoured of rigging, it means that, or it could mean that in the past elections, rigging was predominant in our election process. And so the INEC has come out to then say, hey, we've identified this problem, and now we are assuring Nigerians that this will no longer be a problem come 2023. Our fingers are crossed, like I always say, and we're looking forward to 2023 to see exactly how this is going to play out. And now we're going to go for a quick break, and when we
people into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honorable
You human
on the point of order.
Honorable
On the point of
They are not picking our calls. They made up their minds.
So no agreement with the EU, but
From the lines across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
Very much concerned on the very fact that they have to be paid their 6 months arrears, saying that they've been home for 6 months and they were fighting for a just cause. And of course, you know that the federal government also came out to say that they are going to operate with the policy, no work, no pay. And then also, going back and forth, saying that, well, you've got to pay us our own salary. But the minister noted that the President Muhammadu Buhari, has also warned against signing agreements which the government will not be able to meet. Well, I think what the president basically might be trying to do is to ensure that any promise that has been made to ASU at this point in time will be a promise that will be fulfilled. But again, Nigerians are also saying, hey, the president has got a few months before his tenure elapses or before he hands over to a new tenure or as at when due by the governing councils of universities to which such services are rendered and to the staff who perform them. He went further to say that a sum of 150 billion naira shall be provided for in the 2023 budget as funds for the revitalization of federal universities to be disbursed rather to the institutions in the first quarter of the year, and that a sum of now, before SIRAP and the students sued the federal government, we also recall that sometime last week we had a conversation and we brought to bear that the National Association of Nigerian Students have also called out to ASU, saying to them that, hey, we have supported you in the fight against the federal government for all of the things that you're demanding for. We've been there supporting you. But I think it is time as well that ASU also looks to the plight of the student and come to a compromise. These were the concerns of the National Association of Nigerian Students. But we are still where we are. The federal government and ASU are still maybe in conversations and no solution yet in the priority in our country, Nigeria. I love to always say whenever decision, seeing the federal government has launched a database for suspected criminals. Don't go away, of course, you're watching ATN's Recap.
From the lines across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Only on ATN. From the lines across the ocean, to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Only on ATN.
Welcome back. Of course, you're still watching ATN's Recap. Now, let's dive into the conversation that we were having quite earlier on before now, seeing that the federal government has secured an arrest database for suspected criminals. And of course, the database is where records of arrest by all security agencies are to be henceforth stored to facilitate quick filing of charges and prosecution of offenders on federal offenses. Now, Section 29 of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015 mandates that the Inspector General of Police and head of every arrested agency to remit quarterly to the Attorney General of the Federation records of all arrests made in relation to federal offenses or arrests within Nigeria. Now, we've come to also find out that I think this and that there are going to be speedy trials by those that are being held in custody. Malami also spoke through the Solicitor General of the Federation and Permanent Secretary, Mrs. Beatrice Jedi Agba, and he also thanked the Rule of Law and Anti-Corruption British Council for their support to the Nigerian government. The Solicitor General recalled the resolve now at this point in time, and our hope is that these things could be sustained or should be sustained, because that's basically where we have some of these issues coming out from, saying that sometimes these innovations could come, but the ability to maintain and continue them might be lacking. And so our fingers are crossed, our hopes are high to see that the federal government of Nigeria will, by all costs and all means, ensure that the technology that is being introduced into the system is going to be kept properly, is going to be utilized properly. Now, let's also cast our mind back to the Kuje attack. Now, you also recall that one of the challenges, or one of the things that was pointed out as a challenge in that particular facility, was the absence of a CCTV to face us as a country, Nigeria. Can the Minister of Interior get from the country, Nigeria? Is this possible? Is this possible? Now, we've seen some reports, of course, coming that where the military is doing a few things. We also found out that Boko Haram had to flee camp to another destination because there was an airstrike by the Nigeria military personnel. A natural attack to Mamu. Now, whilst we're waiting for the unfoldings of that particular arrested. Now, whilst all of these are going through, some Nigerians might want to say this might be a good step in the right direction to eradicate insecurity in the country, Nigeria. But is this a show-off, or is this the real thing? This is a question that is begging for answer as far as the nation is concerned. Now, the minister went further to say that what we face mostly now are clashes of cowardly attacks from those that have been rooted in one locality or the other. We go about doing our jobs and our works without fear, not just in one part of the country, but in every